welcome to today's session on degree apprenticeships. So my name's Chris and I'm the Student Recruitment Officer for Degree Apprenticeships at Manchester Met University. So as I said earlier, it'll be about 30 minutes and then I'll do a little bit of time for questions if you've got any questions as well. So we will go straight in. So this is what we're going to cover in the session. I'm aware that some of you may already have, quite good knowledge on degree apprenticeships. You might have already done quite a bit of research. So hopefully this session will just help you, expand your knowledge just a bit and get you thinking about some of the different routes into degree apprenticeships. So we'll just recap the basics. So understanding the different levels of apprenticeships, what actually is a degree apprenticeship and how do they work, the benefits, specific support that is available, particularly at Manchester Met for degree apprenticeships, and then a little bit more on the application process, what you should be doing throughout year 13, and then a little bit of time, if we have the time at the end, on an introduction to CVs, because obviously that's a key component of any applications for degree apprenticeships. So as there's only a few of you, if you have any really important questions that you want to just interrupt, that's fine, but if not, then there will be some time at the end to go to questions. Okay, so understanding the different levels of apprenticeships. So I'm sure a lot of this sort of table before. So there are sort of different levels of educational qualifications, particularly when it comes to apprenticeships. So if you were to do a degree apprenticeship, that would be a level 6 or potentially a level 7 apprenticeship if it was a master's degree apprenticeship. So some people may potentially choose that they want to do a higher apprenticeship beforehand and then go on to a degree apprenticeship. But lots of people make the decision that after sixth form, after their A-levels or BTECs, they want to go straight in and do a degree apprenticeship, which is a level 6 qualification. So it is the equivalent qualification to someone who is just doing a standard undergraduate degree. Okay, so very simply, what are degree apprenticeships? So just as with a normal apprenticeship, the vast majority of time that you will spend will be in work. So it's full-time employment, but also with learning on the side. And in this case, that learning also helps you to get a degree qualification. So it's full-time employment plus a full honours degree combined. So those two areas are combined, which means that you would get on finishing and completing your degree apprenticeship successfully, you will get the same degree qualification that anyone else who has just done a standard, engineering degree at university or accounting, for example. So you get that same qualification, but you also will have obviously gained 3 years or 4 years of work experience as well. So I'll talk more about the benefits of a degree apprenticeship a little later on. Okay, so these are just some of the common subject areas relating to degree apprenticeships. So again, pretty self-explanatory. I'm sure a lot of you guys already know this, but not every single subject lends itself to an apprenticeship or to a degree apprenticeship. So for example, I actually studied history at university. I did a standard history degree, and that's not the sort of subject that lends itself to a degree apprenticeship. So they are only available with certain subject areas. They tend to be a bit more practical in focus, but they can also involve other subjects relating to things like law, for example. So you can see on the screen loads of different subject areas which universities, some universities around the UK offer in terms of subject areas. It's also important to point out that not all universities offer degree apprenticeships, and also not all universities that do offer them will offer exactly the same subjects. Some universities may only offer a few options of degree apprenticeships, for example, because they are quite a relatively quite a new qualification. So they've only become bigger and bigger over the last few years. So you can see on the left side of the screen as well, they are typically 4-year programs. So generally the vast majority of them will be 4 years. And in terms of general entry requirements, it does tend to be 104 to 112 UCAS points, and you will need to have got GCSE English and Maths at grade 4 or C. So in terms of the subject areas, as I was saying before, not all universities will offer exactly the same apprenticeships. I'll go into a bit more detail about the ones we specifically offer at Manchester Met, but it's important to point out on this slide, it's really important to do as much research as you can now and be proactive and look at all the different areas that you may be interested in and start narrowing down your options if you have made the decision that the degree apprenticeship is the route that you want to go down. Okay, so I'll go into quite a bit more detail just now on the specific courses that we offer at Manchester Metropolitan University. So hopefully, we'll see a couple of you guys in a year or 2 years go on to one of these apprenticeships at Manchester Met. So I'll just go through in a bit of detail some of these courses. So the first of the courses is Chartered Manager. So this route allows apprentices to develop to become professional and capable management practitioners. And as you'll see on the slide, there is also a route that specifically focuses on management within retail. We also offer a degree apprenticeship in digital and technology solutions, and this is there to equip apprentices with the necessary skills needed for a career in the digital and technology sectors, such as software engineering or IT consultancy, for example. We also offer a degree apprenticeship in digital marketing, and this apprenticeship seeks to equip apprentices with the ability to create and execute digital marketing strategies for their employer. And we've also recently added a couple of other apprenticeships. So we've added digital user experience. This is an opportunity for apprentices to become confident user experience professionals and be able to investigate, analyse and understand the experience that people have when interacting with digital products and services. We also offer a degree apprenticeship in laboratory science, and this is great for those students who are interested in chemical science, as it is an opportunity to develop as a confident and capable science professional. And we've also recently added a retail leadership degree apprenticeship. So this programme is ideal for store managers and supervisors, area managers and regional managers that are looking to develop transferable skills required to progress their careers. So those are the main apprenticeships and degree apprenticeships that we offer at Manchester Met. If you do want to have a look at our website, you'll be able to see a little bit more detail about those apprenticeships. But hopefully that's given you just a quick summation of our main set of apprenticeships. So yes, just to expand some of the careers that are associated with these apprenticeships. So digital and technology solutions, as I already said, if you want to become a software engineer, IT consultant, data analyst, cybersecurity, which is quite a fast growing industry as well, then this apprenticeship may be for you. If you want to get into hospitality and retail, then the Chartered Manager route may be a good option. Laboratory scientist, laboratory manager, scientific team leader, and then digital marketer. Loads of different areas relating to marketing that you can get into. Obviously, it's a massive industry. So digital marketing executive, digital campaign manager, social media manager. So it opens up a lot of opportunities for you. There's nothing that says once you've done a degree apprenticeship at a particular company or in a particular subject, there's nothing that says you have to stay in that particular career for the rest of your life, but it does open up a lot of really good opportunities for you. Okay, so these are just some of the employers that we have worked with at Manchester Met Uni that offer degree apprenticeships. And I'll just reiterate, as I said earlier, it's not the case that every single year each of these employers will be offering the same amount of apprenticeships every year. It will vary from year to year. It might be that one year they have 10 vacancies or 5 vacancies, and the next year it might be that they only have a couple of vacancies. It just depends on the particular employer and how they're planning the way that they work. So that's just something to be aware of. But you can see some of the really famous companies that we've worked with, and we continue to work with very closely to offer degree apprenticeships. Okay, so we'll go on to the benefits of a degree apprenticeship, and I'm sure that you guys will already have quite a few of these benefits in your head if you've expressed an interest in degree apprenticeships. So the first one is obviously no tuition fees. So that's a clear difference between going to university and doing a standard degree. You will have no tuition fees to pay, so that's obviously very important. You will have a paid salary. So straight away you will have a paid salary just as if you were going into a normal job. So that's obviously really important. You'll gain significant employment experience straight away, which a lot of people obviously say if they were to go down the standard degree option, they wouldn't necessarily get that employment experience. So that's something that you potentially gain over them, in that you're getting that really important practical experience within employment straight away after leaving sixth form. And also it contextualizes learning. So, for example, I think one of the really nice things about a degree apprenticeship is that you could potentially learn something in the 20% or so time that you spend in off-the-job training, learn something, and then you can go back into work and apply that piece of learning in a practical sense. So I think that's a really important advantage to degree apprenticeships. And also, I suppose just summing up, it really gives you great opportunities for fast career progression. Once you've ingrained yourself within that company as an apprentice, you can rise up fairly quickly on completing your degree apprenticeship, and then your salary will also go up quite significantly as well. So it does really give you the opportunity to embed yourself into a company and then really see your career take off. Okay, so how do degree apprenticeships work? So as I said before, the vast majority of your time will be spent in the workplace, so working with that employer, and then you will also have about 20% of your time, which works out as approximately 30 days per year, at the university. You will have a combination of assignments and work-based projects. It will vary depending on the apprenticeship that you are doing, and also the university that you are studying at as well. So it will vary quite a bit, but generally with a degree apprenticeship, it always will be around 20% of the time in off-the-job training. You will have study time allocated by the employer during the week. So it's not a 5-day. It's not full time in work, but it is the vast majority of the time in work. And I think another thing to point out is that employers can be quite flexible in terms of how they will want you to organise your time. So it might be that, for example, you would do 2 weeks straight in the workplace, and then maybe 2 days at the university doing some assignments or doing some kind of learning, or maybe a day of self-study and then a day at university, for example. So it might not necessarily be the case that it's every single week just 1 day at the university, but it does work out approximately 30 days per year at the university. Okay, so in terms of support for apprentices, there's lots of different areas of support. So the first one is your fellow apprentices. So you'll immediately be gaining, really good networks with other apprentices who are doing, a similar course to you, perhaps working with the same employer. So, that's a good starting point in terms of asking for help and advice from fellow apprentices. So there will be lecturers and programme leaders on your course and on your particular degree apprenticeship, and you are obviously encouraged to get in touch with them if you've got any questions or advice that you need. So they are always there, just as they would be there for people doing a standard undergraduate degree. Students' Union. So as a degree apprentice, you are still welcome to get involved in all the activities that the Students' Union provides, and you also have access to their support as well, whether that's through welfare, other sort of provisions that they put on, for example, mental health support and things like that. So you do have access to the Students' Union support as well, just as you would as a student. You also have something called a skills coach. Now, a skills coach is there for your particular type of apprenticeship, and they are there to provide pastoral support and also to make sure that everything's going okay and that you're fully up to speed with what you've been doing both in work and at the university as well. And they will also do lectures to help you guide you through your apprenticeship as well. So you'll have someone who's based at the university, which is the skills coach, to offer you support. And then you'll also have a workplace mentor. So that is your main area of support, obviously, within the organisation that you are doing that apprenticeship. And again, they are there to offer pastoral support, make sure that everything's going okay. Obviously, if you have any problems, try and solve them as quickly as possible, and just make sure that you're doing okay, mainly. There's also transport support at Manchester Met University for certain students, so that's just something worth checking if you're eligible for that when you go into the main application process, if you do choose Manchester Met. Okay, so these are just some useful websites, which I'm sure many of you will have already gone on, in terms of giving you a little bit more information about apprenticeships. So I won't go through all of them now, but it's just to reiterate that there's lots of different areas where you can look for information about apprenticeships. So the apprenticeships guide, that really gives you a comprehensive guide to all the different kinds of apprenticeships and degree apprenticeships that are out there at the moment. The UCAS website, for example, UCAS isn't just for standard university applications, it also gives you information about apprenticeship jobs as well. But one of the main websites, which is really useful to have a look at if you haven't already, is the gov.uk website. And then if you go on the apprenticeships section, you can basically just go and find an apprenticeship. So you can filter down for location, type of job, and put in your personal details, and you can find an apprenticeship, look at what's out there at the moment. So it might be useful for you guys just to have a look at the moment and see what's on offer, even if you're not necessarily applying right now. It will give you an idea of the sort of apprenticeships that are on offer at the moment. I'll go on to talk a little bit about the application process, but it is very different than UCAS if you're just applying to university, where there's a bit more structure, and you have your teachers who will be giving you the deadlines, etc. It really is important with apprenticeships that you do have to be proactive yourself and go and find these apprenticeship vacancies. So, as I said, the application process is very different than the standard UCAS application process for university, and there's not exactly a set structure, but generally there'll be lots of different components to the application process, which pretty much all employers will have in one form or the other. So the first of these is the CV. as part of your online application, and this will go directly to the employer. I'm going to talk a little bit more about CVs just later on, but obviously that's really important to get all your details down. Telephone interview, that will often be used by employers to sort of filter down initial applications and just gauge whether you'd be suitable for that particular apprenticeship. Tests aren't really widely used. That's not that they're never used, but the vast majority of the employers will much more likely go down the assessment centre and interview route. So assessment centres are at the employer's offices, or occasionally it could be at the university, and that will be a scenario-based task. So it might be a full day or half a day in which loads of people who are also interested in applying for that apprenticeship will be given loads of tasks. So it could potentially be group tasks, and obviously it's down to you to stand out at that assessment centre, really show that you know about the employer, that you know your stuff, and that again is going to be how they filter down these applications. And then hopefully you would also be invited to an interview, and of course in the current climate it could be virtual. So obviously it just depends. We don't know exactly what the situation will be over the next few months. But there's probably a good chance that may be virtual, and that's what employers are doing at the moment. So I'll just talk quickly about the specific process for Manchester Metropolitan University. So the first thing to do is to register your interest in a degree apprenticeship. So you can see the website there, so it's in quite a small font. So mmu.ac.uk/apprenticeships, and you'll see a link there where you can register your interest in vacancies that are coming up. You can also visit our website. You can look at our employer's website and come along to an open evening. So we have a virtual open evening this year, which is taking place on the 24th of November. So if you have a look at our website, you'll be able to see the sign up details for that as well. So step 3 will be actually to apply. So as I've just mentioned, processes can vary, but they will usually involve a CV and cover letter and or an online application form. You may also have to attend an assessment centre and interview, and obviously in due course you'll be given further details about if the assessment centre will be taking place at the university or at the employer, and if you'll be having a virtual interview. So if you were to be successful, then you'll be notified that you've got the job, and you will sign a contract with your new employer setting out the terms of the apprenticeship. Then you will go on to enrol. So you'll complete your university application and enrol onto your course. So this usually takes place a few months before you start. And then you will be ready to start your apprenticeship. So they usually start with an induction week, so you wouldn't be thrown straight into the deep end. You'll get an introduction to the course, and you'll meet other apprentices as well. Okay, so I'll just go very briefly onto CVs, and then I'll open it out to questions. So CVs are obviously a really important component of the application process. So with any apprenticeship that you're applying to, you will definitely have to do a CV. So top tips. So this is quite an important slide to consider. If you can remember the 4 C's. So clear and personable to you. That's really important. You really want to stand out and make sure that your own skills and your own attributes and your own experience is shown throughout that CV. So you don't just want it to be generic. You want it to be really personal to you. This one's pretty self-explanatory, but be consistent throughout. So spelling and grammar, check and double check and triple check, get other people, whether that's other people in sixth form or your family, get them to check it over and over again, because you can always just miss some simple things. Be concise, so a CV should be no longer than 2 sides of A4. Coherent, so use simple but enthusiastic language which is easy to read. So there's nothing wrong with using some words that aren't simple. For example, you can use some longer words, but just make sure that it does fit in with the overall tone of the CV. So don't try and sound too fancy, if that makes sense. So language should be professional and skills focused. Duties, so don't just list, reflect and talk about your transferable skills. It might be better, for example, to just list a few key skills, and then make sure you expand on those skills, instead of just listing 10 or 15 skills or hobbies that you have, for example. Easy to understand, I've already mentioned that. And then highlighting skills that are specific to the role, as well as transferable skills, that will have a greater impact. So keep in mind that you're applying to a particular apprenticeship and a particular employer. So really think about how your skills will help that employer. Okay, so in terms of essential content in a CV, and I'm sure you guys are familiar with this, contact details, so current email address, phone number, all your previous education, and list your most recent first. And you will probably want to include your actual results from your GCSEs as well. Bear in mind that generally you will need level 4 in maths and English at GCSE, so employers will obviously just want to see a record of that. Work experience, so that can be any work experience that you've had. So placements, could be voluntary or part-time jobs, anything that has given you, important skills and attributes. So skills, for example, ability to work as a team, excellent customer service. There's loads of skills that everyone will look to use on their CV, and that's absolutely fine. But maybe try and think of some skills that are really specific to you, and what have you particularly gained from a certain part of your experience, just to try and stand out. Interests, so relevant interests or hobbies. As I mentioned earlier, don't try and list every single one of your hobbies or every single sport that you've ever played. You do want to use the space. You've only got 2 sides of A4. Try and maybe only pick a few and try and expand on those few. References, to just put available on request. If you have already got an idea, and if you have just mentioned to someone who'd like to be your reference, that's a good idea, of course, just to make them aware that you will need a reference from them at some point. But it's fine just to put available on request. Okay, and then just summing up, these are pretty pretty simple things that employers will be looking for. So specific work experience that will help you apply for that particular job and that particular apprenticeship. Can be a part-time job, volunteering, charity work, some kind of scenario where you've gone above and beyond to do something extra. It could be in school, for example, college ambassador, prefect, etc. If you've gone travelling, it may be that you've done a year abroad, for example, and that will have given you loads of experiences. And then extracurricular activities as well. So not listing every single one, but picking some extracurricular activities that really show that you're a well-rounded individual, which will look good for that particular employer. Okay, so just summing up, what are they looking for as well? So they're looking for 104 UCAS points, It is important that you do look at the entry requirements for the specific university or apprenticeship that you are researching. It might be that it slightly varies with certain courses and certain apprenticeships. Specific work experience, part-time jobs and volunteering. Also someone who regularly practices professionalism. So, you know, if you have took part in any kind of work experience or something that you can show that you are a professional, then that obviously looks really good. If you've ever done, this is just something really to think about as well. If you've ever done any kind of mock interviews, then think about that experience and think about, you know, how you want to present yourself, and then just extracurricular activities as well. That's something that employers are interested in. And then it's this slide, to be honest, it's just the most important point is the one at the bottom, is that degree apprenticeships are very competitive and the application process is tough. So you've probably gathered that from the presentation. So it is important that you do as much research as you can. Think about if this is the right route for you, because it is very competitive, but obviously, you know, it opens up so many really positive opportunities for you as well. Okay, so has anyone got any questions?